The story began in 2010, a year after losing Abiodun, his first wife. The Osun-born cleric proposed to Esther, who was 65 then and had never been married. Speaking at a youth program in Delta State, Pastor Kumuyi said before she agreed to marry him, Esther, who was the administrator of the Deeper Life Bible Church in London, sought divine guidance through prayers. The 83-year-old, who is the author of several Christian books and devotionals, added that ever since they got married, he has been the greatest thing that has ever happened in her life. Over time, a lot of details have emerged on how the General Superintendent of the Deeper Life Bible Church, Pastor W.F. Kumuyi, remarried secretly in the United Kingdom, with most of his congregation not knowing anything about the wedding. According to sources, the Deeper Life pastor did not want a high-profile wedding that would have been the case if it had happened in Nigeria, and so chose to do the wedding in the UK, where few leaders of the church traveled with him for the event. Prior to the wedding, it had been 18 months since he lost his first wife Abiodun, and key leaders of the church had mounted pressure on him to remarry. He had told them he would pray about it. At the time, it was also gathered that Kumuyi's new wife Esther was a widow with 2 children from her previous marriage, the same number of children the founder of the Deeper Life had before he became a widower. However, it was proven over time that the woman had never been married before. Though many members of the church expected Kumuyi to remarry so that he would not be lonely considering the nature of his ministry, they were caught by surprise as many of them were not aware that their pastor had remarried. It was learned that Kumuyi had court and church wedding in the UK, but it was low-key and strictly guarded with the names of officiating ministers. The church secretary at the time, Pastor Livinus Nnadozie, confirmed that Kumuyi had indeed remarried and that the wedding was conducted in the UK. He had also noted that the church was fully carried along. According to him, the people who needed to be involved in the wedding were fully carried along, adding that they have no problem with the way the wedding was carried out. Sources in the church had also noted that the key leaders of the church across the nation who could not make the trip to the UK for the wedding were invited to the International Bible Training Center (IBTC) in Ayobo, Ipaja area of Lagos, where the video clip of Kumuyi's wedding was shown to them. The wedding drew mixed reactions from members, as some were actually happy and others were actually surprised as to the mode of the wedding. Responding to questions whether he would remarry after his late wife Abiodun had passed away, Pastor Kumuyi had earlier told reporters that it was too early to think of a replacement. His former wife died at the age of 57 in the early hours of Sunday, 11th of April 2009 at her residence at the International Bible Training Center following a brief illness, while she was the National Women's Coordinator of the church. She was also International Coordinator of the Women Ministry in Africa and other continents where the church had branches, and was Editor-in-Chief of the well-circulated Christian Women Mirror magazine published by the church. Recently, the General Superintendent of the Deeper Life Bible Church revealed how he met his wife, Esther, when she was 65 years. Kumuyi spoke at the Impact Program for Youth of the church in Delta State as earlier stated. The man of God, who was preaching on the topic, the decision and determination to stand out, said Esther was never married at 65 when he proposed to her. According to Kumuyi, she was 40 and she was never married. She was 45 and she was never married. 50, she was not married. 55, she was not married. 60, she was not married. 65, I came along and I said the will of God is for me to marry you. She went to pray saying, God, what should I do? And eventually she said yes to him. One important fact to know about the current wife of Pastor Kumuyi is that she was the administrator of the church in London. Esther, 65 at the time, was never married before, but had committed her life to the service of the Lord. She was part of the 15 people that started the Deeper Life Bible Church in Lagos. The solemnization ceremony of Pastor Kumuyi and his current wife took place in London as earlier stated. Just like the late Mrs. Abiodun Kumuyi, the new Mrs. Esther Kumuyi is said to be one of the 15 founding members of the church in August 1973 at his living room at the University of Lagos as earlier noted. The late Mrs. Kumuyi was confirmed dead on Saturday, April 11, 2009 by medical doctors of the Light Hospital, Egbeda, after a protracted illness, while the husband was preaching at the church retreat at the Deeper Life Conference Center along Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Prior to her death, the 57-year-old indigene of Egbe in Lagos State was with her close family members when she gave up the ghost, smiling as she listened to her husband's sermon at the Deeper Life Conference Center, DLCC, on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway venue of the retreat via satellite when she finally gave up the battle for her life. Years after the marriage, the couples have been waxing stronger and stronger in the ministry. We can only but hope and pray that they make heaven at last. Guys, do well to drop your honest comment. Tell us what you think. Don't forget to subscribe and share. Thank you.